Today it's our FPL team selection for the upcoming game week, but first let's have a look back on how we got on in the previous game week. It was a fairly disappointing week where we scored a total of 44 points. There were only 4 returns throughout the team, a clean sheet for both Trippier and White, an assist for Martinelli and a goal for Foden. Once again the Liverpool double up was a letdown and Triple Man City largely disappointed. With just a single point for Haaland, the main positive about the week was that not many managers scored big points, so we take this one on the chin and go again. 44 points meant that somehow for the 3rd week in a row our rank remained at 3.3 million in the world. Needless to say, it's been a poor start to the season, which is why I'm having to make a couple of interesting choices for game week 17 unlimited transfers. On to the team selection, and first up in goal it's Kepa from Chelsea. I actually think there aren't too many great choices for goalkeepers over the New Year's period, but with a playing bench keeper in Ward for Leicester, I feel like we can take a chance on Kepa. It's uncertain whether Potter plays Kepa or Mendy, but at just 4.5 mil, he's hard to resist, especially given Chelsea's fixture run. Moving into defence, and to begin with I've gone with Dalot from United. A couple of people have mentioned that he may not be fit enough in time for game week 17, in which case the likelihood is that I replace him with another 4.5 to 5 mil defender. My first choice would be Ben White. Dalot performed well in the first half of the season and picked up multiple bonus points. Man United have been defending well, and they arguably have one of the best set of fixtures to begin with when the season resumes. Joining him in defence is Trippier for Newcastle. This one shouldn't need too much of an explanation. Multiple routes to points with clean sheets, corners and direct free kicks. Trippier at the moment is probably one of the most nailed players on my game week 17 draft. Newcastle have a fairly good run of fixtures all the way up to game week 24. Finally, in the 3-man defence is Zinchenko. Many fantasy managers seem to have overlooked him over this World Cup break, especially considering his positive start to the season. Arsenal will need to put out their strongest team week to week if they're to hold on to the top spot in the table, and I think that means Zinchenko fills in at left back. It's worth noting though that there are multiple options to pick from in the Arsenal defence. Starting off the 4-man midfield is Kevin De Bruyne. Even before the announcement of the double game weeks for City, De Bruyne has been in nearly all of my game week 17 drafts. He has multiple avenues to points and showed that in the first half of the season. Pep will know that he'll have to put out his strongest team in the Premier League over New Year's to obtain first place. My thoughts are that De Bruyne's minutes are relatively safe until the Champions League resumes later in the season. Joining him is Gabriel Martinelli. It's a genuine wait and see on Arsenal as to how much the absence of Jesus affects their performances. But for now I think it's worth holding on to Martinelli, especially if you've built up a lot of value in him. He's almost guaranteed to start and may even play out of position from time to time in one of the most prolific attacks in the league. Next up is Almiron for the away fixture against Leicester. Almiron and Newcastle as a whole have started the season phenomenally, and I expect that form to continue when the season resumes. Because of the way Eddie Howe plays, I personally believe that Almiron is the most likely out of the front 3 to keep his place in the starting 11 and get the most minutes. He offers incredible value for his price. Finally in midfield is Mo Salah away at Aston Villa. It's fair to say Salah hasn't set the world alight with his performances so far this season, but we did start to see a slight resurgence before the World Cup break. With news that Jota and Diaz are likely to be out for longer, I expect Salah to start every league game for Liverpool and maybe even line up as a striker. To begin with, up front I've gone for the obvious choice in Erling Haaland. He's been relentless so far this season, and hopefully that continues when the Premier League restarts. With Julian Alvarez going all the way to the World Cup final with Argentina, we can be more confident that Haaland starts this away fixture against Leeds. Joining him is Mitrovic for the away match against Palace. Mitrovic started the season really well and proved that he's capable of scoring against practically every opponent in the league. Although he's currently on 4 yellow cards and a slight risk, his fixture run over the Christmas period is just too good to ignore, including a double game week in Game Week 19. The final man to make the team is Che Adams for Southampton. This is definitely a differential pick, but I have a feeling that Southampton will start to perform better when the Premier League returns, and they arguably have one of the best fixture runs. Adams will likely be the main striker, and I like his price at 6.4 mil, as it's fairly easy to swap him with one of the other mid-price forwards if things don't work out. On the bench I've gone for Ward, Andreas, Perrault and Patterson. The strengths of this team are 3 strong premiums that are likely to get loads of minutes over the Christmas period, double City, Arsenal and Newcastle, a good balance between defence and attack, and a team of consistent starters. The main weaknesses are no triple City, no Tottenham and no Man United attackers. The key players I'm missing who I'd love to have in this team are Cancelo, Fernandes, Maddison, Darwin and perhaps Rashford. However, my squad's only worth just under 102 mil, so unfortunately I can't quite squeeze them in. Captaincy this week goes to Haaland. With Alvarez most likely not being ready for the Leeds game, we can probably expect Haaland to get a good 70 to 80 minutes in this game. You'd be brave to go without him. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my Differential 11 for Game Week 17 video, a brand new series on the channel where you can win a shout out. Look forward to seeing you there.